You know, am I the only one that when I hear the Wonder Woman thing, you know, I think of that, like, that rock and roll song. I mean, honestly, I can't unhear that now. It's laser time and we're gonna do a review. Yes, we're gonna review. I'll talk about movies and comics too. Let's all go watch the review. Hello everybody, how's it going? I am Laser Dude, and welcome to another one of my reviews. And today we are looking at Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is the fourth movie in the DC Universe, and the first one that I think is going to be 100% not debated, not one that fanboys are going to yell at each other back and forth about. I think this is going to be an overall agreed thumbs up movie. I mean, me and all the other DC fanboys, we were all, like, praying for this movie. Dear Lord, you know I enjoy Man of Steel, even though it has some weird scenes. Like, why did Pa Kent go back for the dog when Clark could have done it and survived? You know that I actually enjoyed parts of Batman v Superman, although I will never defend it as a good movie. I mean, what was Jesse Eisenberg doing? That was just weird. And Lord, I know that I enjoy Suicide Squad more than most people. But Lord, please, let us have this one. Marvel's laughing at us. They're laughing. Finally, we can put a check in the win column, and yeah, sure, it's in comparison to Marvel, we got a ways to go, but we're on the right track now. So what's the basic story? Well, we got Diana. She is an Amazon. She grows up with the Amazon. She's the only child there. So there's some secrecy surrounding her, but, you know, she wants to be a warrior, and her mother doesn't want her to be one at first, but then eventually lets her become one, and she quickly grows into their finest warrior. One day, Steve Trevor, pilot for the Allies in World War I, crashes on Themyscira, and she saves his life, and then tells them all that, hey, yeah, there's a war going on outside, and Diana is like, hey, I want to help. So she goes back with Steve Trevor to try to help end this war, and finds out that Man's World is a little bit different from her island paradise. But she faces it head on with a smile on her face and a sword in her hand. So let me just say right here, right off the bat, the very first thing I want to talk about in this movie, let's have a round of applause for Gal Gadot. Or Gal Gadot, I've heard it pronounced both ways, but I'm going to call her Gal Gadot until someone tells me I'm doing it wrong. But a round of applause for her, a round of applause because she killed it. I don't want to hear anybody else complaining about her as Wonder Woman again, you hear me? Because she embodied the character. She wasn't over the top wanting to kill everybody. I mean, she did kill, but it was a war situation, so that was, you know, different from what you got like from Batman and Superman. And Wonder Woman's never been someone with that hard rule as Batman and Superman have been. But she's also, but even though she might, you know, attack it, but she doesn't come across as bloodthirsty. She comes across as a loving, caring person that wants to try to understand Man's World, but has her own point of view on it, and she's, you know, the real world point of view and her point of view clash, and then she has to realize how the world works and which parts of her view is right and which parts of the real world's view is right. So, in my mind, a good superhero movie has to have, not necessarily a lot of these things, but most of these things. A great main character that we need to follow. Good action that we can see, move, and watch how it goes. An interesting story to put them on. Good humor is always welcome. And good supporting cast. And I think this movie, for the most part, also a great villain, but I think that it's 5.5 out of 10. Or out of the 5. She gets 5.5 out of the 6 things that I think every superhero movie. This is good main character. Gal Gadot, as I said, she's great. She's strong. She's not a pushover, but she's also loving and caring. And she's not just being, you know, doing it like in a manly way. She's doing it in the woman way. You know, her strength comes from her femininity. femininity, not imitate. It's a harder word to say. Say that 3 times fast. But her strength comes from that, and she draws from that, and she also has compassion and love and wants to, share those two. We knew that this movie was having a tightrope to walk across, that it wouldn't be too over the top, like, women are the best and men are idiots. But it's not that. It has lots of good characters that are both men and women. And even though there are quite a bit of those scenes where a character will should be like, oh, what is this? Or what am I supposed to do? And they're like, oh, stop that. Oh, yeah, we'll be going now. Sort of things. There are a few of those scenes, and maybe a little bit too many for my liking. You never feel like she's going out of her way to make things uncomfortable, or that the other people are ashamed of her. It's just she's trying to keep everything as calm as possible. I mean, there's a scene where she walks in on a meeting and they're talking about stuff like, we could end the war, stop all the killing, stop all the bloodshed, and then they stop like, there's a woman in this room. Like, we could end the war if we did. Oh no, there's a woman in here. Oh, this is weird. The world has ended. And I like that she doesn't take that sort of crap from anybody, and that she shows her intelligence quite clearly. One of the things about these stories that is usually a problem is that when you have someone from the outside world looking into our new world, they come across as unintelligent. But at no point does Wonder Woman come across as unintelligent, just uninformed. Maybe a little naive. I mean, she speaks so many languages. She is a capable fighter, a bit better than anybody else in the war. And while some people might belittle her because of her gender, she never really lets that get to her. She's not obsessing over, why can't these men see that I'm strong and everything? Their opinion doesn't really matter a whole lot to her. Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, he was really fun. I liked him a lot. He really has that dry wit down where you can just say a line really quickly and then you just get a laugh at it and you can't help it. And then he'll say another one quickly and he'll keep you laughing. He has that down pat. I like Steve Trevor a lot in this. He's done really well. I don't really want to go too much in the villains thing without spoiling stuff, so I won't talk about those right now. In terms of action, this film has a really, really great action. I mean, finally! I got a sword fight not up from the weird world of CGI! Finally! I mean, sure, it was in the beginning, and there is a scene with a bunch of CGI, to be sure, but I'm saying I got a scene with just some sword fighting and not a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But for the most part, the scenes look like there's a lot of practical effects involved. When they're doing superhuman stuff, they have the CGI, which is what I think how it should be. Practical for when you can, but when it's not practical to do it practical, then go on to the CGI. But she always seemed capable. She always was able to kick other people's butts. The supporting cast, the other characters, I couldn't really tell you any of their names, but they have memorable lines and memorable scenes, and I still enjoyed them. I thought it was really interesting how they were composed of a bunch of different nationalities, and it's just like they were a living example of how humanity, sometimes they can be killing each other in one generation and on the same team the next. Now, for me personally, I could see some of these plot points that they were making really early on. The one that, I don't know if they know they're obvious, so they're not hiding them that well, or if they're really overcompensating them. There's two things that I figured out, that's probably this. And I was right on both of them, and I'm like, well, I don't feel like I'm the super smart guy who figured that out. I think that, those were pretty obvious. But the pacing is really good. I like how they take the moments to slow things down. And there's a scene where Diana's there just walking by, and there's just people that need help here, people that need help here, people that need help here, and she's feeling overwhelmed. And then when Steve's like, hey, there's nothing we can do, we can't help these people, and she's like, no, I'm gonna help them, and she just goes out. I'm like, yeah. That's my type of superhero. Someone's like, look, if we can do something, even if it's risky, we got to do it. And so she just goes up and does it. She doesn't ask for permission. She doesn't wait for anybody to back her up. She's just like, I'm going to do this, and you're going to have to either back me up or not, but I'm doing it anyway. But I like how this movie is fun, too. There's lots of funny scenes, lots of memorable moments, and lots of memorable lines. I think that this is one of those movies that we're going to be quoting, but not ironically. We won't be saying, oh, Jolly Rancher, or anything like that because of how dumb the lines are. We'll be quoting this movie because they're actually good lines. My favorite one is, I fear terrified and aroused at the same time. That was my favorite. So honestly, I don't really think I can say too much else without giving things away. The action scenes are great, and there's variety. They're not the same type of action scenes. There's, you know, different types of areas and ways that they fight these their enemies. There's also a variety in the ways that the characters work off of each other. There's also good pacing in this movie. We get to feel for our characters. The acting is great. As I say, Gal Gadot, thumbs up 100% all the way. No more complaints. No more questioning of, oh, she's not tall enough. Nothing else. I don't want to hear anything, or else they'll get a smack up the head if you guys are talking bad about it. If she screws up in another movie, you can talk about it there. But for right now, she's did nothing but perfect Wonder Woman. So, let's rate this sucker. I think that this is DC's first home run hit since The Dark Knight. You know, the other ones like, you know, Man of Steel was a double. You know, Suicide Squad might have been a base hit, and I don't know, maybe maybe Batman v Superman was either a strikeout or 4 balls and got a walk to their next base. But either way, I think Wonder Woman is a home run hit. I liked it a lot. There's part of me that's thinking, no, maybe I'm going to be rating this too high just because this is finally a really, really good DC movie that I really enjoyed and I'm looking forward to seeing again. But maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe that is taken into consideration, maybe it's not. But either way, I am giving Wonder Woman a 8 out of 10. I think this is a great movie. Maybe the villain is a little bit weak, but I think it's actually handled quite well, to be honest. And I think the scenes are handled well, and the emotion I feel the emotion. I am excited in the action. I feel for my main character. I can kind of see a few things coming here and there, but that's a personal thing. And if it doesn't ruin the experience for you, which it didn't, it doesn't really matter if I see it coming. If it still makes it for a really interesting character arc. So, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm LaserDude, and there's one down. Now let's see if we can get a streak going. Because, you know, even a wrong clock is right twice a day. So, let's hope this isn't one of those scenarios. Let's get this clock going again and keep it moving. So, thanks for watching, everybody. Adios. Be sure to check out some of these other videos on my channel. And wait for more coming soon.